I'm Dr. Gustav Lowe of Northern Michigan Med Center. I'm going to explain community COVID testing to you right here in Emmett County, actually at the Emmett County Fairgrounds. Now, this is going to be open to local residents, not just of Emmett County, but also of Sheboygan and Charlevoix County, really anybody who's in the area. But this is not public testing. This is testing by referral only from your primary care physician or another physician, because we have to make sure you meet certain criteria for COVID testing. COVID testing for the country right now is very constrained, and so not everybody can get tested. You have to meet certain criteria. So I'm going to go over the basics of this, and then we're going to show you a video reenacting exactly what you're going to go through. All right, so the first thing I want you to remember is that you have to practice rolling down your car window only 3 inches. This is very, very important, because the whole idea behind doing test specimen collection right here in your car is so you don't contaminate the healthcare worker and we don't have to wear a lot of special gear. So the important part is being able to only roll your window down just 3 inches. That sounds pretty simple, but a lot of times these car windows roll all the way down with one button, right? And so what you have to do is you have to practice rolling it down just 3 inches. Usually you do that by touching it just real softly, not punching it down, but just touching it real softly and then watching it like this. So that's about it, maybe even a little bit too much. That's all the farther down you want your window to roll. And while we're on the subject of window rolling, here's the second most important thing. Keep your windows rolled up, no matter what, until the healthcare worker tells you, roll it down this much. They'll give you this sign, roll it down this much. Otherwise, it should be up all the time. When you initially pull into the fairgrounds, when you go to that checkpoint, they'll say, keep your windows rolled up. You're going to show them the lab slip that you've gotten from your doctor. It's going to look something like this. You're going to have that and your ID, driver's license or another pictured ID. You press it right up against the window like this, so the healthcare worker on the other side will be able to see that, see who you are, and that way they'll cross you off the list because you're generally going to have an appointment for this. Then you, excuse me, then you proceed along until you get to the site where they're actually going to take your sample, and the healthcare worker will have you roll down your window 3 inches. They'll go 3 inches, you roll it down. You're going to hand you a plastic bag that looks like this. You roll your window back up. In the plastic bag, you're going to find 3 things. A test tube, a swab for your nose, and some tissues to wipe your nose afterwards. It's pretty simple. You'll open up this swab, tilt your head back. Oftentimes, they will have you tilt your car seat way back like this. And this is something that we figured out while doing these tests in our own office. It's easier if you have your head rested right back against something. Otherwise, people tend to put this in and their head moves back as their hand moves forward. We don't want you to be able to get away from yourself. So you put your head back like this. You put this swab in to your nose pretty much as far as it goes. It can be a little uncomfortable when you scoot it down there, and you twirl it around a little bit and bring it out. Then you do the same thing with the other nostril. After you've done that, you break this swab right where it gets narrow like that. Break it right in half. It's going to take a couple of twists. If you have a hard time breaking it, you can actually just bend it in half like that. But I was able to break it. Put that down. And then we take the lid off of this. It might be a lid like this where you're just pulling it off. It might be a screw top lid. It depends. Put this inside, put that back on, and you're all set with your sample. Then you have to take your lab slip and fold it, not just in half, not just in quarter, but you got to fold up so it's really, really small, like about this big. Wrap that test tube up in there. The medical worker on the other side will say, roll your window down 3 inches. You roll your window down 3 inches. They're going to be holding a plastic bag right up against your window. You just put this right inside that plastic bag, drop it in there, and you're all set. You roll your window back up and move on to the checkout checkpoint. And that's pretty much it. Now, the next part of the video, we're going to go through this exact same stuff with some of our people demonstrating it. As you pull up to the fairgrounds, you'll pull up toward the first, let's call them greeter, and there'll be a sign there that says keep your window rolled up and show your ID and your lab order. So you press those up against the window and you will move on actually several hundred yards. We're just sort of mocking this up here. And eventually you'll stop at the healthcare worker. That'll be pretty obvious. And they'll tell you to roll your window down 3 inches, hand you your bag, which is the sort of kit that we have 3 items in there. So remember those 3 items I talked about before were a swab, a test tube, and some tissues. So now you'll see our demonstrator opening up that swab, pulling it out, and he's going to tilt his head back, press it right up against his seat rest, and push that right into the nose. But you're not done yet. Now you've got to do it into the opposite nostril. So you take the exact same swab, insert it in the exact same way, twirl it around a little bit. Now you've got the complete sample. You open up the test tube there and you break that stick in half just like he shows you there and just like I showed you on the previous video. Now you're set with the specimen. You fold up that lab slip, that lab order, real tight, put the test tube right in the center of it, and you pop it right in the plastic bag after you open your window about 3 inches. The worker will be holding that plastic bag right up to the crack in your window. And that's it. Pretty simple. Now, in those videos, everything went very quickly. Don't worry. There's no rush. If you don't do it right, we'll coach you through doing it again. You don't have to be in a hurry. We've got plenty of time. When you're all finished, the health worker will motion you on to the checkout area, which is going to be another tent, and they'll go over things with you, talk about your test results when you might get them, and that's it. Then you head home. Thanks.